3rd, 2026 to order at 6:02. If you'd stand for the invocation and remain standing for the pledge.
Most loving, gracious Father God, we just ask that you be in the middle of this meeting with us, that there will be wisdom and that things are done in decency and in order. We just ask that you be in the middle of it, and we are thankful for another day in the land of the living. In his name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are you ready, Jim?
Mayor Pro Tem Everline,
Here.
Councilor Arnold,
Present.
Councilor Lanneman,
Present.
Councilor Miles,
Here.
Mayor Wells.
Yeah,
We have a quorum.
thank you. Well, welcome everybody and thank you for coming out to this meeting. Agenda approval and review. Any changes to the agenda? We can get to the consent agenda if there's anything on that when we get to that part. Not motion to approve the agenda as stated.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you. At this moment, I'd open for a public question and comment. Any person wishing to address the mayor and town council on an item that's not on tonight's agenda is asked to come forward to the podium. Speak your name and address. For the record, you have 3 minutes per speaker. Maria.
Marie Galelli, 1104 North Tangerine, Howey. Two things. I'm told there's an FDOT meeting here tomorrow talking about citrus 19, and you're nodding your head no?
Central.
Just
Central in there.
this intersection out here, it's not traffic in general.
Okay, I guess my point is that there's a meeting here and I don't know that's on the agenda, it was on the calendar that the public know they can come to the meeting, or is it not a public meeting?
It's a public meeting. Being held by FDOT.
Okay, is that something that should have been on our calendar so people have an opportunity to come in and listen? Maybe? Yeah. I guess that's my point.
I think it was, we were actually only sent the information on the council. I only saw it today. But I believe it
The
has.
town clerk is telling me it's on Facebook, and I guess people who live in the area were notified.
Okay. Okay.
It was originally for people, as far as FDOT were concerned, for those that lived on 19, but obviously it's important that other people get to weigh in on this, so it has been posted elsewhere.
Okay. Second thing is on GFL, garbage guys. GFL?
Green for
Um,
life.
I'm sure there's been much more trash because of everything that died during our cold spell, that some people have said that they don't pick up all their cans. So I did talk to Faye earlier. I guess if it's 4 cubic feet, that's all they're supposed to pick up at one time. And if you even have 6 or 7 cans out there, they just don't pick them all up. Is that acceptable to you guys based on the contract?
That's what's defined in the contract.
So it's really a driver's subjective, 4 cubic feet versus 7 cans. They choose what they're going to take.
I mean, a driver has to evaluate it, but it's supposed to be following that
Okay,
guideline.
okay, thank you.
My name is Jeremy LaCourte. I'm from DeBerry, Florida. I work for Preferred Governmental Insurance Trust. Preferred provides property and casualty insurance for over 400 governments across the state of Florida. That's cities, counties, fire districts, and you name it. We would love to see if we can bring Howey-in-the-Hills back into the Preferred family. when your renewal comes around this year. You remember the trust in 2007, and we haven't looked at your city since 2019, which means it's highly likely we can deliver significant savings to your current insurance program. What makes Preferred different is that we don't just provide insurance. Service is truly the heart of what we do. Every member gets a dedicated loss control agent who regularly meets with you and helps prevent accidents before they become claims. We offer the best training and resources, and we're here for you as a long-term partner. You get a say in how your claims are handled, and we work through independent retail agents. We frequently find that when members transition from our competition to us, they realize how neglected they've been. We also have a standout disaster recovery program. It's called Preferred Priority, and you get up and running quickly after the event, and our members consistently tell us that this peace of mind provided to them is invaluable. And there's more about our matching program. We have a matching program that reimburses cities up to $5,000 for safety equipment purchases. That's just to name one. But I mentioned you guys were actually a member, and that was in 2007. Back then, your premium at that time was $63,740 to be a member of Preferred. And the next number made me do a double take. We actually gave you a quote of insurance in 2019. So that would mean a 12-year gap between when you were a member of Preferred and you received your last quote. And the amount in 2019 was $68,308. And that means in a 12-year gap, you received an increase of overall maybe 17%, $5,000 in a 12-year gap of insurance. So I don't know what your current rate is, and obviously a lot has happened in the world since 2019. But all I'm asking is that you consider giving us letting us give you a competitive quote this fall. And if you decide to give us a quote, there's basically two outcomes. You love the quote, and we work together, and that's my favorite outcome. The other outcome is your current provider sees that we're looking, and they sharpen their pencils. And your premium for the first time in years just so happens to go down. So either scenario is a win for the people of Howey-in-the-Hills. And I'd like to leave my card. And if you have any questions that come to mind later, please feel free to email me. And I look forward to hearing from you. Anyone here? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the audience tonight? If not, I'll close public comment and move on to the consent agenda. Does anybody have anything that they'd
Yeah, I'd like to pull number 3.
And I'd like to pull number 2.
Okay. The basis of that, do we just need a motion to approve number 1?
Motion to approve consent agenda item number 1.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Renee,
Okay, so. Consent agenda number 2 then. David, you pulled that one?
yes,
You like to,
it was either that or to vote the entire consent agenda down, so
it's fine. Oh, you were just voting no, not?
yeah.
Oh, I see.
Because this, just to remind everyone, this has to do with the funding source of the finger pier. So the finger pier itself was approved contractually, but the funding source, it was noted, needed to be defined by a budget amendment at a subsequent date, which is this date, and it has been brought forward based on council feedback to be taken out of the infrastructure fund. So again, I think to summarize Councilor Miles's point, his issue is with the funding source.
Recreational items to be infrastructure. They're more like parks and rec. Infrastructure is roads, water line, sewer lines, things like that. And so spending infrastructure money for this purpose, I'm opposed to.
Well, it falls under the approved uses from the, if you were to take it to the Surtax committee, the oversight committee, they would approve that for sure. It is a capital project. So on the basis of that, do I have a motion to approve resolution 2026-008?
I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say
You
aye.
have a clarifying question, Councilman?
Well,
question.
in fairness, we need a roll.
Yes.
Because it's a resolution.
Public comment, since we're.
Yeah, so that I and the public can be clear, is that what we're talking about in this budget amendment for that resolution, it was based upon the conversation that we had in the previous meeting for the finger piers. So that fund, that money would be funded from,
Well, so it's proposed to be funded from the infrastructure fund. The alternative, there had been some discussion about general fund, or even
Or the Parks
future
and
Parks and Rec
Recreation.
impact fee. But the consensus at the time was to approve the finger pier as is so the contractor could move forward, and to bring forward a separate resolution for a budget amendment to define the funding source. And the general guidance was pointing towards infrastructure fund. So that's why staff wrote it with infrastructure fund in mind.
And isn't it just finger pier number 8?
Yes.
it's one finger pier. I got it. Okay, we're ready.
Okay, any public comment on this item? Then I'll close public comment. We had a motion. Did we have a second?
Yes, we did. Pro Tem
Have a
Amberlin.
roll vote then, John, please.
Counselor Arnold,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Everline,
Yes.
Counselor Miles,
No.
Counselor Lanneman,
Yes.
Mayor Wells,
Yes,
motion passes.
thank you. Item number 3 of the consent agenda.
Yeah, just a couple concerns about this. One is this kind of just came out of the blue. I mean, this Secure 2.0, I looked it up today. It's been around the last 3 years. What drove this?
So I can go into that. So we had a request from a particular employee for some financial assistance due to a personal emergency. And I said, well, my understanding is it's possible to tap into the 457B funds. You should call Mission Square and see what that process is. And this employee called Mission Square, and they informed him that he can absolutely do that if the plan had been set up to allow for that. It's one of many options which had not been turned on for the town's account. So I followed up with a call to Mission Square, spent several hours talking with the representative, and they said the town's plan was set up in 1996 and had not received any change in the last 30 years. And there had been some legislation that had changed in the meantime. Some options were made available. Some were strongly recommended, if not mandated, I believe, and our town attorney could even address some of those. But long story short, this was well overdue for a review and an update. And none of these changes cost anything more to the town. This would all be the individual and their plan and their ability to access their funds in different scenarios, such as having a birth or adoption, getting into their senior years and making catch-up deposits, being able to take a loan against the amount of the money, which they would then have to pay back plus interest. But again, that's all on the employee side in managing their own fund.
Absolutely right. Here's my concern. One of the things that happens, and when you read about the Secure 2.0, whenever it comes to taking out loans against your vested, what you have vested, they always say, speak to your financial consultant first. And there's a reason that they ask about that. And that reason is if you, let's say you have 50,000 vested and you're going to take out a $25,000 loan and you default on that loan, no harm to the town. But what happens is 25,000 comes out of that person's vested monies. And on top of it, that's counted as a distribution, and they have to pay 10% federal tax on it. My concern is that's fine for those employees who understand all of this stuff. But for some employees who don't understand that, somebody really needs to sit down, I think, and discuss this with them, how big a penalty it can be to them. I mean, that's a huge amount. And I couldn't find missions groups, but I know a number of plans, if your employment is terminated or you leave, you have to pay that loan back immediately, which means it's gonna come out of your account if you can, and you're gonna get nailed with that 10% federal tax.
And that is correct. And Mission Square did volunteer, presuming the passage of some portion, if not all, of this proposal, that they would do education for staff as part of this process, showing them and explaining their new options to them.
Can I ask a question here? Is our staff, and you know, I know John has the human resource responsibilities. I would also hope that maybe Oscar. I think it's important that if this goes through, and you're right, there's no cost to the town, and I understand that completely. I think it's very important if we do this, that whoever decides to take out a loan, that they receive consultation from someone within our group, and also preferably they be advised that they also seek consultation elsewhere.
I would say from the town staff perspective, the town would be at liability if the town were to offer financial advice. Mission Square is available to provide advice, and I certainly agree with you. Everyone should seek a third-party financial advisor for big decisions, but town staff would assume liability if town staff gave advice.
Would there be?
If town staff said, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And you get what I'm saying, though, if town staff were to give any suggestion one way or the other, and
Here's the thing, you're not giving a suggestion.
Mhm.
You are letting the individual know what consequences may develop.
Presumably, though, the pension company would get the person to sign to say that they have received such financial advice and that they know the implications of what they are doing. I mean,
And they offer
they
that
would have
advice
they would
on the
have
site
to
too.
do that in order to cover themselves. Because to Tim's point, I mean, I would have pulled it, but for a different reason, because everything that we've discussed is not apparent from what we were looking at. You know, there was no staff report for it. So a lot of the information I didn't even know. That's why I was waiting for this one. If you hadn't have pulled it, I'd have pulled it for that reason. I don't know. I mean, I share your concerns because here's the thing, when somebody needs money, sometimes they don't even care.
Yep.
You know, I mean, if you take all the people that took out student loans and now they got no job to pay them back, and you know, somebody else ends up picking up the tab for it. Not in this particular case, but it can happen. And they usually, you know, if they're younger people, they just, you know, may have a ton of credit card debt, and you know, they want to take out that money which is theirs in order to pay it off, or just buy another new car or whatever. It's not, you know, we can't get past the fact that this is a retirement plan for retirement. So I don't know. I don't know if I can see that if voted on, how much, and I'd have to defer to Heather, whether or not we can or shouldn't vote for this.
Well, what are we
What say you?
voting on?
To allow employees to be able to take out loans. There are other things in there. But to be able to take their loans off of their vested retirement. Be able to take out loans based on what their vested retirement is. They could take a loan up to 50% of what their vested savings.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's,
David.
Well, but
What,
it's to
Dave?
modernize the retirement plan, though. It was good 30 years ago, but now it's,
But shouldn't that be a decision that is made by, I mean, like, shouldn't that be a decision where the person, I'm sorry, David, I'm going to yield. Shouldn't that be something that the person should take up with the pension company, the whoever is, because for us to vote on, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a similar question,
Mhm.
and that is, has this gone in front of the police pension board, and have they approved it?
So
As this is their pension plan,
just
correct?
to be correct, the municipal police pension is an independent pension body. No police officer currently has any money in a 457B that they're taking out of their paycheck. They could choose to contribute. They would get no match because they have
Okay,
this
this is not the
correct.
correct.
This is the regular town.
regular town
Regular
employee plan.
Okay, but it's-
Yeah, I know what a 457B is. This is the pension plan for our non-police employees.
Correct.
So the person that came to you was not a police officer.
Correct.
Okay. You answered my question?
And this, yeah, I mean, your question is very valid because I had the same question. I was misunderstanding where this was going, and hence the reason the staff report would have been real helpful to have to preceded these discussions. Your opinion, Heather? I mean, we're voting on changing the pension plan, which if
But can we do that if the person is in the four
It's
fifty-seven
not a
B
pension plan.
already?
This is a,
Well, it's a defined contribution.
right, you can't call it a
Plan.
pension.
Or
It's not a-
okay, I think you could think about it more like that, but it's at the discretion of the council. It's the plan. The plan, you don't have to amend it, which is why Sean and I suggested with Sean that we do it as a resolution so the council could just talk about it. There's another city that we work for that just recently did allow it to go forward, but it's at your discretion whether you would like to amend the plan to allow this.
Now, were there one or two of the points that were strongly suggested or mandated by law that they be allowed for? Like the emergency
If there's-
patrols or?
If there is a requirement by law to amend the plan, yes, you have to amend the plan, but it's my understanding, and this is a very discrete area of law. There are specific people that do this on a day-to-day basis, but it's my understanding that you do not have to allow someone to be able to borrow against their plan.
I have another question in regard to this. I'm familiar with the 457 plan, the 457 deferred comp plan. But here's my question, do the town make a contribution? I know that up north with the 457 plan, the employer contributes a certain amount of money along with the person that is the member in that plan. So let's say, just for the sake of conversation, at this point that there's a, let's say $85,000, but employer has contributed, let's say $40,000, and the person wants to withdraw, $70,000 or something. You see what I mean?
It's back 50%.
50% of whatever, but let's say they do not have the 50% in there.
is there
How does that work?
Have to.
is there a vesting period in this or?
Because wouldn't it be, yeah, that's.
So there is
No.
there's not a vesting period because a 457B does not allow for a vesting period.
So it's just a matter of the town puts money into it, the employee puts money into it if they wish to, and whatever money is in there is the employees. Is that what we're saying?
Exactly. If there was a vesting period, which might have been the original intent of the council, there should have been a 401A created.
And my question is, why do we not have a 401A plan for our non-police employees rather than
I
the
mean-
457B?
A 401A is typically for larger municipalities, like in Lake County. I mean, when I say larger, Claremont and Leesburg and Mount Dora would have a 401A. Small to medium usually has FRS, and then 457B would be a secondary option
Right.
with no matching in any of those scenarios with the 401A or
Well, a 401A gives both the town and the employee more flexibility in managing the money. You can have vesting periods in a 401A plan, for example. Um, there are loan provisions in a 401A plan that do not require employer approval. Is the second one. So it's a 401A is more like a 401K plan, except it's for government employees.
Right.
And it was designed specifically for government. It's odd that we have a 457 without a 401A.
It is, and that was
Been around
noted by
for
the
a
Mission
long time
Square
now.
representative.
David, there's also other requirements when you take your loan out. It's paid quarterly and you have to have it paid off in 5 years. So unless it's your home. So it's pretty quick turnaround.
So what's the penalty if they default on the repayment? If they have to pay
Then
it
the loan will be paid out of the vested money. And whatever comes out of that, you have a 10% tax.
Federal tax, right off the top.
Right off the top.
Right out the same time.
So it can be very detrimental to the employee. That's why they say talk to your financial consultant, because typically there's better ways to borrow. If you have, obviously you're going to have some kind of collateral, but
Can we just say have a list of financial advisors, fiduciaries that they could call? Or at least say, this is what you're going to be looking for to seek outside opinion. I think Heather wants
I was going to say, I think Mission Square will provide that information but there needs to be probably some prompting from staff to say, you need to speak with Mission Square about the ramifications of doing this. And I'm not sure that's a hard thing to do, but staff.
To open the gate, because I had to go through this process just to learn more about this with Mission Square. You go online, it was pretty straightforward. You go online, you go in your account profile, it shows you who your district advisor is, and you schedule an appointment online just to open the door to even begin the process. You're talking to a human being who is the representative for you as a client.
So they're getting some advice right out of the gate.
Right.
What you're saying.
Right.
it's a dilemma because I don't think it's fair to tell an employee that they can't get at their own money. But at the same time,
There needs to be some
sometimes
protection.
employees need to be protected
Yeah.
too.
Well, it does sound
So-
like Mission Square have that in place. So let me open this up for public comment.
Can I just say one thing? If there's a true emergency, let's say there's a family member that is sick or whatever, and someone needs to get at the money, and we are keeping our employees from getting to their own money that they put in there, their only option to get to that money is to quit. Because they can quit and get to their money. So I just want to throw that out there that by putting a gate on here saying you can't handle your own money. We're not going to let you get to it. That's the message you're telling the employees. And B, the second message is if you have an emergency, you better quit because that's how you can get to your money.
Well, why can't you allow it in emergency situations, but none others?
This has to be allowed.
We have to update the plan.
By the plan. If the plan doesn't allow it, which is what we're trying to do,
Not even an option.
then it's not an
No, I
option.
understand that, but when I read through it, now this was the Secure 2.0, not necessarily the Mission Square. It doesn't have to be an emergency to borrow the money.
It doesn't, no, but I'm just
Okay,
telling you, if
that's-
there is one, you have put a guardrail up
So,
that they can't.
Right, I understand that. So,
And-
but what you're saying is you cannot limit it to just emergency.
No.
Is that's what I was looking for, yes or no?
But you could refuse, you could say, we don't want to allow for a qualified birth and adoption. We don't want people to be able to tap into their funds. We don't want, if someone's a victim of domestic abuse, we don't want them to be able to use their own money to flee their abuser. You could take that provision away. So I mean, you could say, oh, if you're 61, 60, 61, 62, 63, and you have an option to catch up, we don't want you to be able to do that. So these are individual separate items that could be unchecked to take those particular aspects away, so that staff can't utilize those options. So the Roth contributions, the $1,000 emergency withdrawal, which would not be a loan, for certain emergency expenses, for example. So that would not be treated like a loan. So I mean, those are all discrete, separate features, but I think they all have their own benefit in very particular circumstances for those people in those circumstances.
I don't know. To be honest with you, the more we talk about this, the more stuff is coming out, which wasn't certainly apparent to me when I first read this. Hence the reason.
Yeah. It's on that checklist.
I know. I mean, well, let me first off open it up for public comment. Welcome back, Mr. Baloo.
Thank you. Tom Baloo, 1005 North Tangerine Avenue, Howey-in-the-Hills. In the past, some of these plans allow people to take the money for up to 60 days as long as they repay all of it within that 60-day time. I don't know if this particular plan has that in there, but I've used it in the past when I bought a house and I still owned a house. In between, I borrowed the money from
A bridge.
right, and then we paid it back before the 60 days, so we didn't have to pay that 10%. So I don't know if that's an option for the employee or not.
That's a federal law though.
Good evening, Lynn Huesman, 671 Avila Place. In all the companies that I've ever worked in, the 401k, which I understand could have different rules than this type of plan, still allows a person to access their own money. And I think that Mr. Brock had a very good point that people will leave if that's the only way to access their money. As far as the tax implications and fees and fines, typically you have to sign off that you understand all of that before you get your check. So I think we need to treat employees as adults, and if they're in a situation where they feel that they have to get their money regardless of the fees, that we have to allow them access to that. Thank you.
Here.
Thank you.
Marie Galelli, 1104 North Tangerine. I think it was a really good discussion, bringing out stuff that, I mean, I knew someone years ago borrowed from their IRA and got snookered. But anyway, I think the town, the staff do nothing with this. We give them they come contact Mission Square, and we don't recommend financial advisors. We don't recommend anything. They just go to the site and they take care of it themselves. The staff must be completely out of it, because at the beginning, Sean, you said there's no cost to the town. Well, if we start talking, it's costing us money because you're spending time on Mission Square and this employee and not doing what you're supposed to be doing in this as a staff. So they contact Mission Square, educate the person, and we, the town, stay completely out of it.
Well, we have to modernize the plan though, to allow. Yeah.
Well,
Right now. they
yes,
can't
yeah,
do
we
it.
need to do the plan update, but beyond that, I mean, you guys talked about, giving referrals of financial planners. We don't refer nothing. If you make the plan change, then you do that, and then we stay out of it. That, my other notes, it would be handled by Mission Square. There's no reason to debate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Just as a matter of interest, who chose which boxes to tick in this?
No, that's a good question. So I talked to the Mission Square representative for our district, and she walked me through everything. Basically, we're checking every box. I know there's some that are yes or no. As you can see, there's a lot of defaults suggested in there. There's one on the top of the right column that's only relevant to 403B and 401K. So that's not relevant. And she talked about the student loan payments and the in-service portability, and she recommended against those as well. But she did recommend basically allowing for all of the checked options as they're listed here.
So she's making a recommendation. So this treatment of student loan payments as elective deferrals for purposes of matching contribution. What does that mean, and why did she decide to take that out? Sorry to hold you up.
No, that's a good question. Honestly, off the top of my head, I can't answer why she recommended not checking that box. So I think it just more or less had to do with the conversation with what people, what was the likelihood of staff using that to pay off student loans. But honestly, I could not give you a definitive answer on that.
Josh?
Joshua Huseman, 671 Avila Place. As someone who participates in FRS as well as a 403B, if I need to access my 403B or even FRS, obviously I know what happens. That being said, with a 403B, I'm assigned a financial advisor by them. He also manages my FRS. If I were to pull a loan from that 403B, I cannot do it myself. I have to go through him. I have to talk to the financial advisor. He has to advise me, which I assume Mission Square does as well. So my big thing is, one, this is that person's money. This is their money. It's not our money. It's nobody in here's money. It's their money. So why are we to dictate what they do? We're also looking at a plan that's 30 years old, 1996. Y'all seen how much Howey's changed even in the past 5 years, what's going to happen in 10 years. We don't know what's coming. But my big thing is Mission Square, regardless of what company it is, I think we use National Life. And that financial advisor has to sign off on that. They have to say they had a conversation, they advised them of this, and this, penalties and all of that. So at that point, it should be required by that company to advise the person. To Counselor Mayor Pro Tem's Everline's point, obviously there's going to be people that might get hung up on that and they might not have the education for it, but that's the purpose of Mission Square and their job to do that.
Is that how it is? Sean, they have to do it?
Well, yeah, they would still have to work with someone from Mission Square
That's a requirement.
yes.
I don't know, but I cannot imagine they're just going to willy-nilly let somebody take money out of it.
And
I think the thing is, as far as this is concerned, this plan's been in place for a long time. It's the first time it's hit us. We have to either approve it or not approve it. So the only way to find out whether it's a good idea or not is to have this discussion. So I appreciate the input that's come in from the public as well as information from the town manager, albeit tardy.
And I do have an answer to the student loan payment. So in that particular case, instead of the employee contributing from their paycheck into the plan and still having to pay student loans on the side, checking that would allow them paying their student loans to still qualify for a matching contribution from the town. It would be considered to meet the matching qualification.
That's what it's not checking.
Okay. All right. I'll close public comment. Back to council. Any other council discussion?
Yes.
Motion to approve.
Oh, 1 second. Oh, okay. Not 1 second on approve, but I just have a question for Heather. So you stated that another township, they just basically changed over. And for us, we're just making the plan available for the employee or even employees in the future to be able to go to Mission Square and get these loans. However, Mission Square takes it from there once they apply and give them whatever advice that they need.
That is a correct statement.
And thank you. Second.
A roll call vote, please, John.
Yes, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Everline,
Yes.
Counselor Arnold,
Yes.
Counselor Miles,
Yes.
Counselor Lanneman,
Yes.
Mayor Wells.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We had the proclamation on the consent agenda, which was consented to. Did you still want to read it or not? Okay.
We will send it off to St. John's. They will be happy to
The
have
good-
it proclaimed.
The good version.
Yes.
It will also be posted in the front and online.
Okay. All right, we have no public hearings, old business. Item 4 of new business, discussion on the antique town fire truck restoration project.
So we had talked about this a few months back, specifically with the Lake Tech agreement. This was deferred a little bit by, I believe, Counselor Everline's recommendation to bring in Mrs. Peggy Boucher Clark to talk about fundraising opportunities to kind of bridge the gap for the costs of the repair, retrofit, full remodeling, whatever the case may be, of the fire truck. We also have Mr. Cates in the back as well for any more particular questions on that topic. But Peggy, would you like to come up?
The chair, I'm stuck to it. Okay, Peggy Clark, 800 North Lakeshore Boulevard. I'm going to take a different approach on this. To truly be a volunteer means more than simply offering your time without pay. It's about choosing to contribute your energy, skills, and compassion to benefit others or a cause you believe in. To give your hard-earned funds towards a cause is also a act of volunteerism. At its core, volunteering is an act of intentional service. Our town was built on the spirit, energy, and dedication of volunteers. It was the old barn raising concept where neighbor helped neighbor. But in our town, volunteers began with raising tents in our city. Fast forward 100 years since the founding of Howey-in-the-Hills, and we still enlist volunteers to perform certain tasks to the benefit of others. I, for one, have been a volunteer of this town for more than 35 years. Curating, preserving, and protecting our unique history. Much of my research and knowledge I shared in a book I wrote about Howey's beginnings, volunteering countless hours so that others could benefit. Our Howey Fire Department was established not as a county entity, but one that was formed by citizen volunteers answering the call no matter what the time of day or night. They were neighbors taking care of neighbors with an amazing 1946 Mack fire truck that proudly carried the town logo on its cab doors. Over the years, the call to fight fires was no longer answered by our volunteer fire department, but that of the county. Around 2012, our council at the time gave away our beloved and historic fire truck, no longer wanting to fund the insurance and carry this outdated vehicle on its books. Realizing its historic value, some active duty county firemen tried in vain to raise money and restore the truck themselves. It was kept outside in Yalaha for a number of years. I finally presented to the council that we get back our Mack as part of our historical collection and preserve it. The town voted to repay the volunteers $3,000, reimbursing them for the work that had been done. Our Mack was back. Meanwhile, I engaged Stu Paquette of Leesburg, who volunteered to restore the mechanics and body of the truck at his expense, since he had a fire truck of his own to restore. The truck was transferred, costing the historic board $500 or half its annual budget, to Stu's Farm Hall, maybe some of you know that, in Leesburg. Unfortunately, the volunteer mechanic and Stu both passed away within a year of each other, bringing us back to square one. Since then, the city took over the project, but after 6 years, the truck is no better off.
This is an exceptional vehicle that demands the attention of a rare type of mechanic, one who has the expertise to work on vintage military fire trucks. With the impending growth up to and beyond our borders, our city employees have more than enough town responsibilities to handle. As chairman of the Historic Preservation Board, we propose that together with citizen volunteers who are also passionate about preserving our history, a 501c3 be established for the purpose of raising the necessary funds to fully restore our 1946 Mack truck. This could be a sizable sum, and we recognize that our city has other responsibilities and will not be able to budget for a project of this magnitude, except perhaps if they spread the costs over years and years to come. As soon as the state approves our nonprofit organization, the truck, its title, and all available manuals and documents would be turned over, putting the restoration responsibility solely on the 501c3 and its volunteer board of directors. Today, we are seeking a new kind of volunteer fireman, much like those of yesteryear, but with a new purpose. Our truck is now 80 years old and shows the neglect and some damage by not being properly stored. Our restoration project would include not only proper housing of the restored vehicle, but even going further, establishing and funding a proper historic museum for all the wonderful artifacts that have been collected over the years. I respectfully ask the mayor and council members to make a motion and approve this proposal. Once our preservation of history project is complete, the truck would be used for cultural events and parades, educational opportunities, and much more. Today's volunteer firemen want to put out the deterioration of the Mack and get it back on track, restoring community pride while ensuring the legacy for future generations. For those of you not aware, Mr. Howey's original hotel, the Floridan Hotel, was blown up in a 1980s movie. Mr. and Mrs. Howey's residence is now privately owned. So our 1946 Mack fire truck is the last historical example and serves as a tangible connection to our town's heritage, enhancing community spirit and identity. It deserves better. Please, I ask that you vote in favor of this plan and give us, a group of dedicated volunteers, the opportunity to, independent of the town, fully restore our 1946 Mack fire truck and make our town's incredible history more accessible to our citizens and tourists. Can I get a motion to vote to approve turning the fire truck and its restoration project over to our nonprofit as outlined above? Thank you.
Thank you, Peggy. So, and Peggy, can I ask a question? What is your estimated timeline on the establishment of the
I
501c3?
understand that it can move pretty quickly, maybe 2 months.
Okay. So as a counterpoint, can I suggest for council's consideration, because this is a discussion
Right.
at this point. But at the time of the creation of the 501c3, we could bring a motion. Because at this point, it seems like there's not really an entity to give the truck to, so we could bring this back around
Or
in
you
2 months,
make
let's say.
mention that when it is approved by the state,
Well,
based on the approval of the state for a new 501c3, specifically for the 1946
Yeah, we
Mac
can-
restoration
We can
project.
only make a binding motion on an item that's not on the agenda as a discussion item. So, but
Fair enough.
if you've got, that's, I think, the purpose of the town manager's question. If it's 2 months, then, we have formal council meetings that can be brought to. I mean, we can talk about it.
I'd like to hear from Mr. Cates about his idea of using Pride to restore it, which I don't know if she's familiar with Pride. Pride is Prison Industries, and I've used them many times in the past. They do extraordinarily good work at a very low cost to government entities. And they have people that can fabricate parts. When you're dealing with an 80-year-old truck, the parts are not always available for it, and you have to fabricate them. So could Mr. Cates join the conversation?
He certainly can.
Well, I guess that's for you, Sean. Another
Right.
business card. Give one to John.
Thanks.
So as Counselor Miles had said, the last time we brought this discussion before council, well, it's been a couple times. One was the Lake Tech deal, which that council, kind of agreed with me on that and kind of did away with that part of the project. Since then, I've been doing some research. I did meet with, and I can't remember the gentleman's name. It's set back here. Brad. He gave me the information, for a gentleman with Antique Bucket Brigade, the Florida Antique Bucket Brigade. I did contact him. I met with him and another representative over where the fire truck is being housed at this time. That's not in the town. It's being housed at the truck shop over in Oklahoma because they towed it for us from Lake Tech. I met with them. They went over, looked at it, took some photos of it, and they decided that it was not something that they would be interested in because of the decay of the truck, how long it been. Miss Clark had mentioned it's been sitting outside for a very long time. Everywhere it's been moved to, it's been sitting outside. It's never been covered. They said that that's not something, because if that was the intent was the council was to give it to a person, then they would be solely monetary responsible for restoring it. And that's not something that they were going to entertain. So they are the ones that told me and give me the lead for Pride. I have reached out with them. I've talked to one of the representatives. His name is Michael Bishop. I have a meeting with him this Wednesday to look at the fire truck and give us an estimate or a quote on what he thought they could do the project for. But it's not for me to say. This is a project that started long before I got here, and hopefully sometime in the future, whether the town itself, we send it off and have it restored, or if we donate it to a 501, that they have it restored. Either way, that's for the council to decide. But I have been doing my own research and down different avenues. I've talked to Peggy many times over the past few years about this project. And so however the council wants to go with this is totally fine with me either way. But that's all the research I've done on it. We do have a file on it. We did find the title. I found all the invoices where we've paid the county back for the work they had done on it. I think that was in 2017 or something like that. I think it was.
Is the
17 or
the
18.
town's name?
It is that. Well, I'd have to check. It may be in Lake County's name, or whoever the town donated it to this first. But I mean, I could go look. I could find the title pretty quick. I know where it's at, but I could look at that and update you before the end of the
Because
meeting.
what I'm saying is, if the title's not in our name, then I guess we're not able to make
But I-
any decisions as to what happens to it anyway, right?
Well, the title would be easy enough to straighten out, but I don't think Lake County ever put it in their name. I think we give them the title when we donated it to their fire charity. I don't think they ever put it in their name, and when they give it back to us, I think it still has the town's name on it, but I could clarify that. So,
I would like to see you get the estimate from Prison Industries. When I was with the city of Green Acres, we used to have all of our EMS equipment overhauled by Prison Industries, and they did a very
I've looked at a lot of their
Very-
projects they've done online, they restore, and this part of their industry is called heavy equipment restoration, I
it's over
believe.
in Daytona Beach, I think.
I believe so. That's where Mr. Bishop is stationed out of, is Daytona. So, but
And they did it in
I know that
very, very low price also, because the prisoners had time on their hand.
and they've been around. This Pride has been around for over 45 years. So it's something they've done through the prison system for a very long time. I don't know what that estimate would look like, because that if anybody hasn't seen that fire truck lately, it is in very bad shape. It's been very poorly not taken care of. I mean, it's not something that, we have pictures of it in the file here where it looked almost immaculate. And I don't know when those pictures were taken, but it does not look that way now. It is in bad shape.
Thanks, Morgan.
Trey Purser, 1104 North Lake Shore. I think what we're looking beyond right now is the proposal that Peggy has made to create a 501c3 to take this fire truck away from the town who has neglected it. Councils in the past have kicked it down the street. They've actually appropriated money in past budgets, and for one reason or another, it disappeared out of that fund and never got spent. I don't think the town has the stomach to go after it, and I don't care. David, Pride might be the best one to do it. But I don't think the town should be wasting its time, efforts, and resources to even go down.
Well, we've
Please, let me talk. Peggy is willing to take this on, but in order for her to go do a 501c3, to your point, Sean, why would she do that if she doesn't have a commitment from the town that the town will say, yes, you can take this on and do it? She's willing to come up. She doesn't have all the fundraising plans yet, but without a commitment from the town, why would she do it? She is very passionate about preserving one little piece of history that this town has. We're losing our identity of the charm and character of this town every day, every month, every year. Let's hang on to something that made this town what people wanted to be. I urge you to go ahead and have a motion that if she gets that, yes, you will turn it over and let her create this thing. Otherwise, it's not worth her time to do it or anyone else's. But there are people that are willing to contribute funds, time, and talent. Get out of the way, let them do it. Thank you.
I didn't officially open public comment, but is there anybody else that would like to? I mean, it is a discussion item, so if anybody else has something to say.
Marie Galali, 1104 North Tangerine. I dittoed everything Trey said. Peggy's been working on this and wanting to do something forever, and she's just asking for a motion. If it's a binding motion or whatever you call it, why can't you just do it? That's all. Just do it. Nike, just do it.
I don't like Nike.
You can do a conditional resolution.
We can, let's pull back a little bit. We still have a little bit more to discuss on this
Is there any
item.
more public comment online?
Well,
Hang
didn't
on,
we
just-
have money in the
Let's just-
from the fire engine?
Let me just
Yeah,
finish this.
25,000.
That's what I thought.
Is in the budget, but that's not gonna be enough to
No, I
cover.
understand that,
what's-
but SIP, not in the.
No, it is in the
No,
budget.
it's in this
It's in the
budget.
budget. There's 20,000 in
Budget.
the budget and then there's another
That's what I thought.
4,000. Mitzi, your comment.
Mitzi Maxwell, 803 Camino Real Boulevard, in beautiful Howey-in-the-Hills. And I just wanted to say thank you very much for having this discussion tonight. And I also want to thank, I haven't been here that long, but man, are you guys great. I mean, it just makes my heart excited. Listen, I've applied for and received several 501c3s over my career. It doesn't come from the state, it comes from the federal government. And doing it is not just what's the name and the email address. You have to fill out information. It takes time, and you have to have an organization that's got a budget. There are things they ask you to do. All right. And so I think that the amount of commitment that these fine folks have demonstrated year after year is really extraordinary. Let them go. Could you just let them get it done? Because the federal government is going to be evaluating their 501c3 application. You don't need to be in the way of that. It's all taken care of for you. Thank you.
Andy Everline, 1012 North Lakeshore Boulevard. I just want to say, since we have moved here, we have seen where people don't appreciate the history of Howey, and there's a lot here. The mansion is private, but they still offer so much. And it seems like we have this feud between the mansion and the town, and it's ridiculous. The mausoleum, I mean, and this fire truck, I don't see why you wouldn't want them to go ahead and do the 501c or whatever it is. Our history is important. This town is changing, and people moved here because of the quaintness, the beauty, and it's all going away. And let's try to have something that is from our past. You know, you should never forget your past.
Tom Blue, 1005 North Tangerine Avenue. As a former fireman and underwater dive rescue member for quite a few years, this touches my heart. And again, the history that this little town has is amazing, and we are losing it. It's with the growth going on, with the new industry coming in here. If we can hold on to a little piece of something like our fire truck, it's a no-brainer.
Thank you. Any other public comment? I'll close public comment, bring discussion back to the council. Tim, you had something?
Yeah, is there any reason why we can't just go ahead and make a motion and get this over with?
Well,
You would need, I would say maybe before the mechanics of the motion and what would need to be modified to change a discussion item to a motion. I think from at least my perspective, it'd be helpful to see what the consensus from the council is, and then we can work out the mechanics based on whatever that consensus is.
Are you, Peggy, are you looking for any donations from what is already, because I think Tim alluded to this, that there was some money collected inside of the town.
There was a little less than $5,000 or so, and then there was an additional $20,000 budgeted, including in this year, to be combined with that $5,000 raised in donations.
Yeah, that's this other non-operating profit, 4,443.
That was the raised donation money, and we marked it that way so that we would know that was the carry forward balance of donation.
That would be, if this motion approves, then that would be passed over to the 501c3 so that you are able to get going, if you like.
Yeah, and I think that would help us in seeking grants from various entities is to have some money, including the less than $5,000, which was raised from citizens through like walks through the mansion on our first Founder's Day and things like that, or passing the boot at, the Christmas event. But it would help us have a jump start if the town wanted to donate that. And I don't know if there are tax benefits to a government. I don't know if the government gives money to a 501c3, if that's,
Okay,
but the 5,000 is money that we raised
Yeah.
as individuals.
Yeah,
And
no,
the town just held that money
yeah, no,
for us.
that's fine.
If we give the truck to them, I would like to title it over to the 501c3
That would make sense.
with a proviso that it never come back to the town.
There might be some funny print there that we put in there.
The reason I say that is my late wife raised a large portion of that 4,400 and whatever it was at an event at Howey Mansion back in 2021, I think
It was the Founder's Day.
Yes.
And I think they charged $5 per person for a self-guided tour.
And
And we probably had
We've-
over 1,000 people.
we've
there.
gone through so many cycles of doing this, of it, let's send it here, and then it comes
Yes.
back. And I'd like it not to come back again.
Well, that's,
If we-
that's maybe for another day. Of course, any new council can overturn whatever that motion is anyway.
Right.
I know they can, but if we title it over to them, then it's their baby.
Yes, no, I think that's absolutely right. Once it leaves the town, it needs
That's
to
what
be
we
in
would
your.
want. We want to be 100% responsible for it, for the insurance, for all expenses. And as a 501c3, we are more capable of raising funds for the project because of the tax incentive.
Okay.
With the
Funding is gonna
supermajority,
help a lot of people.
with the supermajority, I believe our rules allow us
To turn it
to-
into a voting item.
turn it into a
It does.
voting. So that means if 4 of the 5 of us approve that, we can vote on it today.
Before we get to that, just to finish off the discussion, as a straw poll, does anybody have a raging objection to what's been discussed? Does anybody have a
I just
raging?
have a question. And the question that I have is that hypothetically, after the truck, Peggy, I guess this would be a question for you. After the truck is complete, hypothetically, where would you store it? Where would it be? Would it come back to the town? Because,
Well,
where would it?
that's part of our fundraising and our mission statement is to establish a timeline of what is most important, how long is that going to take, and what can we accomplish in the meantime? As far as housing it, would it be available for public view all the time? Or would it be housed as part of maybe a future historic museum that's open on weekends or so many days a week or whatever for people to enjoy? And then certainly for educational purposes, taking it around, letting kids touch and feel it and
That'd be
hear
great.
the siren and all of that.
Thank you.
I still think it's a good idea to get a quote from prison industry, because the last time we discussed this, we came to the conclusion it would be north of $50,000 to repair that engine.
I have no doubt, and I'm not afraid.
Well, and to that point, I think the 501c3 could still partner with the town if it came down to it, where Prison Industries requires it to be a government entity participating in the project. that the town could get the quote and the 501c3 could
Could
Yeah.
make
get the
me able to
check or
help
something
you.
like that, so we could get the most.
That could
optimal-
save you money.
At that point, if the title is in our name and we've accepted this responsibility, we would take that as an opportunity. It would be a bid amongst many bids that we would be seeking out as we do our research and vetting who's most qualified to handle a vintage truck of this nature. This was a military vehicle.
Thank you.
And it's not your average
Stop.
truck. It's not a Volkswagen van. It's not anything ordinary.
Thank you. So we have is there any other questions, Renee?
So having knowledge myself of having 501c3, here's the question I have for Heather from the government perspective, because I do understand that those are issued by the federal government and it's a tax-free, it's tax exempt. So how would that work for the town? Like the benefit, we know that 5,000 would automatically go over to them because once it's established, but what would be the tax benefit? What Sean, you were speaking about it going,
That was with the prison industries.
because I would think that once we
What he was,
to
what he
them,
was saying is he doesn't know if prison industries could be contracted by a 501c3. But a municipal government definitely can be.
okay, got it. Okay.
So he knows for a fact that the town could deal with prison industry. He doesn't know if they're 501c3
Can
can.
interact
But,
with.
but I do think there's a chance to work arm in arm and have the town request the quote,
Right.
and then the 501c3 effectively just cuts the check in that scenario. So I think there's,
But
we're
would
not
that,
missing any options at this point.
Yeah, but you're missing the point.
she
501
wants,
is established.
you want full responsibility.
Well,
That's the
what I'm
whole
saying.
purpose. That's what I'm hearing you say. So they don't want really the town involved. They're going to establish this 501c3 and just turning it over. I just was looking at it from a legal perspective so that we can get Heather's legal eagle.
I think if
And
I would think if Ms. Clark would need or would want help from the town, she would come
Yeah,
back and
she would.
say, we would like to get a bid from this company and they are requiring the town to be involved. I think she would come back and ask, right? If that was necessary.
But I don't want if I'm approved to go ahead with this 501c3, I wouldn't want the town to run out, sign a contract with the prisoners,
No,
and
you
then
won't.
come back and say you're
No,
obligated.
No, I think it is the opposite intent, which is that we want you to have all the benefits that the town would receive
Yes.
in negotiating the best possible deal, so that you're not.
But final decision, if the title's in our name,
Would
is that
rest with
we
you.
accept that responsibility. And then the town doesn't have to worry about it anymore.
I'm on the side of with David, and this is not to be offensive or anything, but to indeed turn it over to them. And we just, as the town, because the town obviously have been kicking this can down the road about this truck for many years. I know I've served 4 years, been living here 9. I've been hearing about this truck. And I mean, I think you should have the truck. But my thing is, we just want to do it the right way. So I think the best thing is to establish that 501c3 so it can be titled properly. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, I have a proposed motion.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
ready for it, but I don't know if you've reached the consensus.
Well, we would need a first motion to convert the discussion item into a
Decision item.
approval.
I make a motion, we move it on to a decision and approval.
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
aye.
That's just,
Great, so now we're ready for an
just the
actual,
council. Thank you.
an actual motion.
Okay, so this is now a voting item. So My original question was whether anybody had any raging disagreement with him moving the $4,443 to them to start that off. That's the first question.
But that's supposed to be
And
rounded.
we do have 20,000 in the budget.
I would give them the entire 20,000
Well,
plus.
I'm
the
not suggesting if we
4,500.
do that. We have a lot of other things that we can use 20,000 on, but if there was a proportion of it, of that 20,000, maybe 5,000 to add to the 4,000 to get them going, I would not be adverse to that.
Round
But,
it up to
but
10.
beyond that, I would not
Yeah.
vote for that.
Round it up to 10.
Give them
It
ten
would
thousand.
almost be rounded to 10 anyway, but it will be $9,443 and no cents.
All right.
I think it should be 24,000 and some, whatever it is.
Heather, what is your
She is not saying for that. She's saying just move.
Well, I understand that, but that's why
I'm gonna give them a fighting chance of getting it done.
I'd also like to resurface the basketball court as well. So, there are other things that we need that money for.
So, and then we would want a clause in whatever the motion is to make this contingent on the formation of the 501c3.
Right.
I think, I don't know, I think that the 501c3 should be established so that it can be properly titled over to them.
We wouldn't move the money across, Renee, until all of that was established. This vote is to give them approval that we will do that so they can go and establish the 501c3. Otherwise, they're going to incur costs to do that and then come back again, and we may have changed our minds. So, well, it happens.
So, no, we're not going to change our mind on this truck. Heather?
Yes, ma'am. How about this? It's three parts. A motion to approve and support the creation of the 501c3 with the, I wrote very tiny here. With the intent to restore the 80-year-old fire truck to be used for educational purposes. Transfer title of the truck to the 501c3, and then transfer X amount of funds to the 501c3.
Once it's established.
Well, it would have to be established to be the 501c3.
To be able to do, okay.
Is the truck on our capital list? Will we have to use that horrible deaccession word in order to make this happen, which may need a resolution?
Well, you would need a resolution
Do
just
it
to.
at a later point.
No, if this resolution
This is it.
transfer of title, that should be fine.
And I will point out, Mr. Cates, this is not to change anything necessarily in the motion, but just for full transparency, Mr. Cates did find the title. The title is in the town's name, although it is handwritten on the bottom of the title, transfer of title to the Lake County Firefighters Charity by Brenda Brasher. So that's something that's from 2014. So that's something that would have to be clarified legally for the Lake County Firefighters Charity to.
If they did the transfer, that document would have been turned in to the tax collector.
So.
And a new title would have been issued that in the name of that. So they never
finished.
They never did it.
So, but the printed, it says Town of Howey-in-the-Hills has the title. So just thought I would share that as well.
Excellent.
But I think Heather's motion still stands. Get on with it.
Thank you. So I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion based upon Heather's advice in that I make a motion to, what's that first part, Heather?
Councilor Lanneman's motion is to approve and support the creation of the 501c3 for the purpose of restoring the 80-year-old fire truck to be used for educational purposes. And then to transfer the title of the truck to the 501c3, and then transfer, and I just need the dollar amount of funds to the 501c3.
Yes, and I think we need to resolve the dollar amount.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Well, the dollar
Complete
amount,
the
I'm in
motion.
agree, the dollar amount that I'm in agreement with is $9,400 $41 and how many pennies?
9,443, which is the original amount that they paid into the town, plus an additional 5,000 gift from the town
From
in
the
order
town.
to set them up.
9,440.
So David wanted all of it. Why don't we split it and make it 10,000?
We are.
No, that would be 14,494.43.
Just add 10,000.
Right. Which would split it though. And
And the reason I wanted to give them a little more is I know how expensive it's gonna be for them to do that. And as much of a head start as we can give them will be most helpful to them.
But that, David, is their choice with what they want to take this project on. So you currently have control of the motion, Renee, so you can put your dollar amount in there.
$9,443.
Do I have,
Because of the town is not being insensitive, but we just have so many other things
correct.
that we need to take care of.
Do I have a second?
second,
This is money, so you need a roll call vote, please, John.
Pro Tem Everline?
I'm gonna say yes, but I just want to add that I wish we would have given them more of the money that was budgeted for that purpose.
Counselor Arnold?
Yes.
Counselor Lanneman?
Yes.
Counselor Miles?
Yes, and I want to say ditto to what Mayor Pro Tem Everline said, because I know it's gonna run well over 50,000. It may run over 100,000 for them to do it. And with that, that's a lot of money for this small town to have to raise. So as much of a head start that we could possibly do, but I'll vote yes.
Mayor Wells?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 5, consideration and approval of RFP 2026-002, the boat ramp dock project.
Yes. So we did put out an RFP for the boat ramp project. We received back a number of bids that's included in the tabulation sheet that is attached. As you can see, one of the bids, one of the proposals rather, was considered invalid as it was an incomplete proposal. That bid was the lowest dollar bid amount, but it was unacceptable. So our Public Works Director did review all of the other bids, and he recommends moving forward with Doc Pro LLC, who does have the lowest acceptable bid, and the town has done work with Doc Pro as well. So there is that consideration also. Are there any questions from council on this topic?
If not, can I have open this for public comment? Closing public comment, back to council for a motion to approve RFP 2026-002 boat ramp dock project awarded to Doc Pro LLC.
I so move. Second.
Again, it's contractual, so we'll have a roll call vote, please, John.
Counselor Miles?
Yes.
Counselor Arnold?
Yes.
Counselor Lanneman?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Everline?
Yes.
Mayor Wells?
Yes,
Motion passes unanimously.
thank you. Move on to item 6, consideration and approval of RFP 2026-003, IT services for the police department.
Yes, so our police department, and we have our chief and lieutenant coming up, but our police department put out an RFP for IT services. Previously, those services had been provided on call it a volunteer basis. We are going through an FDLE audit, and IT review is one of those factors of major concern. And again, it's very technical and somewhat difficult for a small agency such as ourselves. So the police chief put out this RFP. We received 7 proposals, although 2 of them were too late to be considered. So that was a good number of proposals. The police chief reviewed this, the police staff reviewed this, and talked to our IT director, Mr. Brock. This one, I will say, is a little bit tricky to compare, with the dollars. It's not exactly apples to apples. There's a consideration of what extra projects might cost, what the value of travel or not having to travel would weigh into that. But in considering the 5 acceptable proposals, the police chief and staff recommends moving forward with proposal number 2, which would be Legacy Properties Unlimited LLC, with a total proposal cost of $42,000. And the chief can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe they were going to waive the onboarding. I will point out that in the short term, because we desperately needed IT services, we did do a short-term agreement for IT services because, again, it was absolutely necessary while we were waiting to do this RFP process. And the person that we did that with was the main proprietor of Legacy Properties Unlimited. So the police department has worked with this individual to some degree already. And because of that, the one-time onboarding fee is considered to be waived.
It's been waived, yes, correct.
So I know there's a lot of technical details in this and a lot of variations in pricing. So the police chief is here for any questions from council.
Well, more so Manny's here also for the technical stuff because
Excellent.
I guess my input is, since I'm from this area, what's the list of deliverables? When is their schedule? The concept, are we going to be putting it in the cloud or not? That's important. What about encryption of data at rest? All those nitnoid little details. We're putting together an IT system, particularly that handles sensitive data such as yours.
Correct.
That to be
One of the requirements is they have to be CJIS compliant, which is our main issue. A couple of them were not CJIS compliant, but were willing to become CJIS compliant. That's not the issue with Manny here or the his legacy property. Next one. One of the issues that complicates it is normally you have a CJIS audit every year, but after COVID, 2019 was the last CJIS audit that the town was subject to by FDLE. Since then, they've been catching up since COVID happened and the world shut down for that short period. They're just now getting back to catching up. So we started our CJIS compliance audit last December, and we were deficient in many areas. Which Manny can explain a lot of the stuff. He's uncovered quite a bit and was able to correct a lot of stuff. As far as the cloud, we are looking at going cloud, but not initially because, as you remember, the last budget had $55,000 in capital outlay for 4 servers. We by no means need 4 servers. Servers have increased in price astronomically in the last 6 months. And he can explain a lot. There's something to do with big companies buying up all the storage hard drives, and it's just small towns like us, it's hard to get hard drives right now. Manny's been working with several vendors to try to figure out the best way to do it, and he's got it basically where we can use our existing hard drives. You call it cannibalizing. You take 2 and you create 1 super hard drive that will be sufficient for an offsite backup, which we don't have right now. that was one of the deficient areas that CGIS had, was our servers are in the same room as our backups. That's a no good. So that was one of the things, amongst other things, our access control, our security system, that's all stuff we can talk about later. But basically what this involves, if we go with this gentleman who is committed to on-site versus remote, he lives local. There is no travel charges that are required. We have a company out of New York that wanted, but of course they charge travel and lodging. Also, several of the companies charge $150 an hour for, after hours call outs issues. Legacy, I think at 90, a little cheaper. But like I said, he's come aboard and really helped out, kind of get us to where we at least need to be going forward. It's been a challenge, and he's worked many more hours than I know he's been compensated for. The guy he's answering his phone. We didn't necessarily have that luxury back since October, since I've been here. It was hard to get a hold of, and the previous volunteer, but in his defense, he had his full-time job. So it was hard to get a hold of him at some points when we had computers down, or, some of our databases were down. But this all involves that from that 55,000, we would have to, whether it's an adjustment or a transfer, we would have to do a transfer to pay him for the second half. We just have to pay him for 6 months, because up to October 1. So it would be half of his cost, with the 42,000. It would be half of that, and we would have to pay him going forward. And then he would be our contractor. We would no longer have a volunteer that's, hard to get in touch with, so.
Did the volunteer, did he put in a quote?
He did not.
Did we request it, or he just got?
He did not. It was going to be advertised as an RFP, but he did not put in a quote.
What is the backup that proposer number 2 has? Is he a one-person IT shop?
Yeah, he's one person, sole proprietor of.
Okay, and if he gets sick or otherwise indisposed,
Run over by a Mac.
or run over by anything, backup would be provided. I looked at all 5 of the proposals. Did you invite any of the other proposers in to go over? There were 2 other proposals that looked very good amongst the 5.
In the RFP, it said schedule with me a request to come on site, and I think we had 2 others that did. One of them was not CGIS compliant. I think it was I don't have the proposals in front of me, but one was not CGIS compliant. One was a little cheaper, but had travel expenses and what else? And a higher. Also had, for any equipment installations, they add 15% on top of the equipment. You saw that. So Legacy does not, but Manny here at Legacy, he can answer those questions about what happens if
my biggest concern with him is the fact that he's a one-man shop, and what would happen in the way of backup in the event he was not available.
And also the benefit of him being a one-man shop is he's our guy. We don't call New York and find out, John Smith is our guy that's going to be with us today. And also
time he's here though.
Exactly. Also, he's here. Also, when you're dealing with someone that's remote only, the issue is we have to pay to have them fingerprinted under our ORI, which is sometimes can be expensive. So especially if they have 15, 20 people that could be remoting into our system at any time.
I think what David's asking, Chief, is if Manny gets sick or whatever, he can't show up, who do we turn to get the work done?
I'll let Mr. Manny answer that question.
Hello, Manny Diaz, Legacy Property is Unlimited. To answer that question, I am a one-man shop, and I will pour my heart and soul into the town. I worked at the City of Leesburg for 3 years. I was a Mount Dora for 7, and I did the same thing with them, poured my heart and soul. Luckily, with IT, we can do most of our work remote. So if I become ill, I'll happily jump on my PC and provide remote support as needed. Heaven forbid death Call me early, everything is documented. Everything I do, I document. So anybody can walk in from any other MSP and they can pick up, look at my notes and pick up from there and do the job as needed. To answer your question, privacy at rest, it is FIPS compliant. I'm making sure we are compliant. So from there, as long as we meet our CJIS requirements, we're good there. And I did in the RFP, they laid out an outline, 180 days to meet that compliance so we can go ahead and get the PD.
So what are your certifications?
I currently do not have any. I have my 13 years of experience. I've worked on servers. I've worked on switches. So I have the knowledge. I have taken.
CJIS certified.
I am CJIS certified, but when it comes to Azure, when it comes to, I've worked with it, working with municipalities, it wasn't really required. I do have an associate's in information technology.
From
and-
where?
From Lake Sumter State College. Yep, and I am currently working on my bachelor's as well.
She knows her stuff. She would ask you.
Karen Hogan?
Chief, I'm sorry. The one before her as well.
Yeah, if you talk to Karen Hogan, I'm pretty sure she will speak very highly of me.
Another question. Do we need 4 servers or can we get by with 1?
That's actually one of the quotes I have out right now. I told Chief, the 4 servers that were ordered, the 4 servers that got quoted, overkill for what we need. My plan of implementation is to take the 4 down by 1 beefy server. I'm going to virtualize all our servers. That way everything can be on backups. We're going to piecemeal 2 of the servers so they can be our failover until we can get a budget into next year to purchase a second. We do need a failover second. Now I'm going to piecemeal the other 2 servers, which we will take to either LCSO or Tavares for our backup, which we will do over Veeam.
You're gonna do off-site storage as well?
Yes, that would be the Veeam backup over at either LCSO or Tavares IT rooms.
Both have volunteered and let us use their server racks to put our backups in, instead of having them in the same room.
Do you have any other clients that you provide services to?
You would be my first and only. I do not plan on picking up any others. I got a phone call from one of your officers, Ivy Lee Severance. Her and I worked together in Mount Dora for close to 7 years. At first, I was on the fence. And then she's like, Manny, we really need somebody that is going to do what I'm going to do. My reference letters will show that when I do something, I 100% try to do it right. And I have the passion to want to make sure that you guys, being a Lake County native now, running on 16 years, I want to see towns and cities in Lake County do good.
Chief Mike, I have a question. We have this licensing fee. Do the other quotes include that? Is that included in their quote?
The what, I'm sorry,
The licensing fee for the software, the G3?
oh, no, it's not included in the quote, no, that's usually extra.
Everybody, from what I understand, that would come from Microsoft itself or whatever vendor they're using.
So, but they've quoted, like one of them here in Orlando quoted 36,000 and they said that was complete. So my question is, does that include that licensing fee or not?
No, that's just for their, that is just for their IT consulting and remote access. That's not including any equipment we buy. That's not including any license we have to get with Microsoft. We have to be CJIS compliant. We're currently not CJIS compliant by our Microsoft. Is it Microsoft 365? Okay, good.
I'll explain a little better. So at the current moment, the PD is using the town's Microsoft licensing, and that is not compliant at all. So any emails being sent from PD or to PD are not in compliance. That alone can get PD in a lot of trouble. So the first thing I did was, I already got a quote in, or it should be coming in today or tomorrow, is going to the government cloud of 365. So I haven't seen the RFPs myself, so I don't know if that is included, but usually Microsoft licensing is outside of any type of RFP they would include.
And he does not add any charges on top of whatever the fees are, like some of the companies you saw with 15% additional charge on top of any equipment installs or anything. And another bonus is we've basically already been through phase 1. We had to emergency hire him to do a phase 1 to access, try to figure out what our system needed. If we hire another, MSP, that's going to be we'll be back to phase 1, which he's already done. We're moving on to phase 2 to try to get the equipment, to try to look at the server based and try to look at some access control that we need to do for CJIS and camera systems that eventually that we'll have to look at
to monitor our entrances and exits of the building.
Why not use, but why not use a cloud server? Then you don't have to worry about your physical properties or anything else.
I'll let you answer that.
The main reason for that is, like you said, information at rest, since most of our backups and more than likely our file share is going to be off-site. If internet does go down, we're down. But at least if we have physical space on premise, they can at least, if the internet goes down, they now might be able to take calls, but they can't over radio. But when it comes to office work, pulling records, we can at least do that here if we keep it on-prem. The plan is in 5 years, once the new hardware is in and the warranties start to run out, the plan is to go cloud. That's where everybody's going.
Yeah.
I'm definitely all for it. But at the current moment, in the situation that we're in, it's a lot better just to keep everything simple on-prem right now versus, because that's even more licensing. Now you're paying for data going up, data going down. Right now, we can keep it simple, keep it here, and then we can start doing a roadmap to how do we go 100% cloud.
But do you think that that's a good idea to go 100% cloud? Because from what I understand is that when you have large entities, like for instance, for our IT department, you have also servers that are on site and backup servers that are off site. Because if you put everything on the cloud, if the grid is ever hit for the internet, you can't get your information out the cloud.
So we won't
How do you rectify that?
ever go 100% off-prem. So even though we do our 100% cloud, we will always have a migration. So basically, even though we're functioning in the cloud day-to-day duties, everything's always replicated to the on-prem server.
Okay.
So if it does go down, however, the difference is right now, Chief got a quote, we're going to talk about it. I'll throw a number out there. A server came in at $31,000. But that's because we got to house a lot of information. Once we go cloud, we can go to a backup system. Now that $30,000 server goes down to like 15,000. Now, given AI and the booming industry of artificial intelligence, all these big companies are buying hard drives, they're buying memory, making it very hard and very costly for little towns, little municipalities to be able to afford the same.
Chief Mike, on this Inventure Solutions, there's a base proposal of 31,320. But then there's an optionate alternate proposal at 45,600. What's the difference there?
When I looked at that proposal, one of them, it just added more features. It added, I think their on-call prices were included versus their $150 an hour, if I remember correctly. There was a lot of different, like I said, these aren't apples to apples, oranges to oranges, it's kind of tricky. But basically the other four we have are all would be remote. They would not necessarily be giving us, I mean, he's committed, this vendor is committed to, for the first 6 months, 3 days a week on site. That's all included. And then the second 6 months will be 2 days on site, because by then, hopefully, we'll be up and running and where we need to be. The idea is everybody is going cloud-based, at least backup right now, instead of having physical servers, because that's just the way things are going now with the advances in technology.
Yes, but also by putting it in the cloud, then whoever your provider is actually going through the process of upgrading the servers. They don't last very long because of the constant hardware changes that are coming out, software changes that are coming out. And therefore, it's more cost effective if you put that on the backs of somebody else rather than you trying to buy servers and keep them up to speed.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely my goal to
It's difficult.
try to minimize the expense as much, but this is something that without this CJIS certification and this IT security, we just can't function
Right.
as a police department. We have to. This is something that's necessary. I love Curtis. Curtis Robbins was a previous, and he kind of mentored Matt, and Matt was good at what he did. But I mean, I hate to say it, but you get what you pay for. We were getting free, and it was saving money. But now we're at a position now where we have to dig a little bit deeper and start going forward, trying to advance the agency first staying where we were.
Were proposer numbers 4 and 5, would you not consider them to be local also? One was located in Orlando and the other one was located in Gainesville.
They still require
$150 an hour anytime they travel to our location.
They were.
Yeah, it's all remote. They really stick to the remote versus on-site.
I didn't see that in proposal number 4. I saw that it was all inclusive.
Well, they say all inclusive until you call them out. You call them out and then it's $150 an hour. They just didn't include that in their proposal. That's extra. They're not responding for that quote. They're not responding. It might be all inclusive, but then if you look deeper, some of them tack on 15% for any time they install equipment.
Did number 4
yeah.
add on
I
15%?
can't, I don't have it in front of me. I don't have it on my computer in front of me.
I don't see that, David. There's
Yeah.
just 2 proposals there, and that's what I can. One's for 31,000, one's for.
Well, they
almost
were all in the same ballpark. I don't think
No, that,
I don't
they
think
get
cost
2
should
there.
be the overriding concern
No, it
here.
shouldn't. But
What
that's-
I'm having trouble wrapping my head around is the backup for having a one-person IT shop, and who's gonna, if God forbid something happened to that one person, where would
You'd have to do
he
the
up
same-
the creek without a paddle?
No, we do the same thing that he's done. We were left high and dry with the previous IT, knew nothing about how anything worked. And he, go ahead.
I would just say that John's the IT person for the town, and if he was to leave, how would the town function? You know, so we understand that, but we've been dealing with that, so.
This is,
you know,
that's what Manny's done. He's come in and he's figured out our system, where the lapses were and where the deficiencies are. And it'd be no different. God forbid something was happening to him tomorrow, we'd be in the same boat.
I have 2 questions. One is when you, and it's only a small thing, but when in your proposal where you have got the 42,000 a year, and then you've added on the licenses and the Microsoft Defender, why doesn't that add up to the estimated annual total?
That's the total. First one. Oh, you took it off. Give me one moment. Let me pull that up.
And whilst you're pulling that up, I can ask you another question, because you mentioned that we are your only client. At 42,000 a year, one assumes you must be doing something else, right?
Nope, I am a veteran, so I do get a VA pension.
Okay.
And I am a landlord as well. I do own a few properties.
The Properties LLC.
That's properties. I am in the
I'd be wondering
process in the
about that as
RFP. I
well.
am renaming it to Legacy Solutions. That's already in the works. I'm waiting for it. It should be approved next week, hopefully.
Service, where do you live?
Marines.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your support.
So
if I'm not mistaken, I believe, now mind you, I submitted this prior to talking to chief, and I'm gonna waive the entire onboarding fee because I've been here for
no,
almost 2 months.
that's not included in it anyway. That's separate to.
3,000, he's not charging that.
The 3,000 I'm not charging.
Graham's not, what he's talking about, that's not included in.
There's only, it's a difference of $1,236 between the total and what it is broken down. I'm just asking, sometimes if there's a arithmetical error, it may be more than we're looking at.
1,200. 42, I'll take that away. 45. So you got the Microsoft G3 licensing is 4,400. And then it might be including the 720, which that gets waived once we get approved for the G3 licensing.
Okay.
For the Microsoft Defender, that actually gets waived.
Yeah, but my point is that if you add 42,000 to 4416 and 720, it still comes out $1,236 less than the estimated annual total.
Yeah.
I may not know anything about IT, but I certainly
number-
know about.
That might have been an error in the computing and the Excel sheet that I had. That might have been an error in the Excel sheet that I had.
Okay, and the other question that I have, which is more directed at also Heather, does this conform to the conditions of the RFP based on the fact that James Moore, who's also CGIS compliant, and also is our is the town's auditors as well, that their bid came in lower than your bid. And I'm just interested to make sure, first and foremost, why, and you've explained some of those things, but also to make sure that we don't get into any issues depending on the way that the RFP was written.
I'm not sure what your question is.
Heather will explain.
You have, so when you write your RFP, or when the town writes an RFP, you can put in there however you want to select your vendor or whoever you're going to select. And what it says in your RFP for your method of award is you're going to select the lowest price responsive and responsible bidder. So you have to make sure that you're doing that. And then also there is some language in there that says that the award will be made to the person that you find to have the best interest of the town. So you just need to make sure you make all of those findings, that he's actually the lowest price, responsive and responsible bidder.
Yes, and that's, again, it's not necessarily what I was explaining, the lowest price, but it's what you're getting, because with all these others, we're not getting the first person response and first person attention that we're getting with this gentleman. And also we're not having to start back at square one with the evaluating our system phase one, like he's already done. So that's kind of,
So
Where
you're
we're at.
going with lowest price technically acceptable, because in this case,
Mhm.
we need some on-site capability
Mhm.
until the system is built up and fully
correct.
operational.
We need somebody that can commit to being here
Yeah.
2 to 3 days a week.
And as well, just to highlight, because of the nature of these proposals, and there's some variation in the way they're written, there's a lot more variety in the possible range of costs. Primarily, well, with iVenture and James Moore, it's a question which one could possibly scale even higher. But even if you estimate a general number of extra costs, call out hours, things like that, I think that still pretty solidly puts Legacy as still the lowest dollar amount overall at the end of the year. It's a little tough without looking in a crystal ball, but there's a lot more range and possible scope of expenditure with the other two.
And right now he's on site, that's included in his price, where if we have somebody else come on site, they charge us travel and the hourly rate for coming to our office on top of everything else.
Yeah, the others talk about remote management, which is great till something goes wrong. And then either for remote management, something, if it looks like it is a software error, might be able to be fixed. But if it turns out that there's a component in the server that went out, Lord only knows, they've got a lot of components in there. You won't know that till somebody physically shows up and does a troubleshoot of the server. I will say though, this adventure does Windermere, Oakland, Indian Shores. That's, pretty impressive.
I think just before we get any further into this, and we'll open up public comment in a second, but I think that the council should insist that all RFPs, because we also had one that Oscar had put out, which also had some issues in it, that all RFPs before they get sent out are sent to legal to be looked at, so that we don't end up with something that's going to come back and bite us. That's the reason why I asked the question, but I'm assuming, Heather, that you're comfortable that the way that the proposal is against the RFP, that we're good there.
Well, that's what I was saying. The town has home rule power to write an RFP the way you want to write it. Once you write it, though, you have to make sure you comply with it. So I just want to make sure the town council is comfortable in making the findings necessary under the RFP, the way it's written, to justify the lowest price and responsible bidder requirements that are in there.
I did lean on John Brock when it was coming to making this RFP, and it was something that's relatively new to me, and he's very knowledgeable, so.
Way to throw him under the bus.
Just so you know, the template we used for the RFP was created by legal. So that is the Gray Robinson template that we're using.
Well, but not one size doesn't always fit all, especially when you have specialized
Absolutely.
purposes like this. It should say that someone had to be CJIS compliant. And, things like that are really important. But I think you.
I believe the
said
RFP
enough
did
to
say that they
justify-
had to be seated.
No, it just said, provide CJIS compliance approach.
Yeah.
So if someone's not, they can
Okay.
say, okay, well, here's the approach of how
Gotcha.
we would be.
But again, from a procurement perspective, I think as much as one can predict call-in rates and extra cost, I think we still meet as much as we can foresee that lowest cost requirement that we've set for ourselves.
Okay, I'm now going to open it up for public comment. If you gentlemen would just
Thank
take
you.
a seat. Seeing no public comment, I'll close public comment. Oh. No, I'm going to open it up. I would always let you talk, Marie.
And if not, I'd be saying something else. Thank you. Marie Galelli, 1104 North Tangerine. A couple things. On the RFP, just to what Heather was saying, and maybe this is normal in government, I don't know. That you say you're gonna take, you want the lowest bid, wouldn't you say the most competitive? But that's just my.
This was an RFP, not a bid.
Right.
Our RFPs don't have to be awarded to the lowest bidder
Correct.
price wise.
But then I'm missing something in what Heather has said.
Yeah, I
Because
was
that's
about to
what it
say,
said.
that's what she's referring to.
It was low, that we accept the lowest price, so I'm just saying,
Lowest price technically acceptable. So even if you have the lower price, if your solution isn't technically acceptable, you don't consider that price.
I personally think you get a different group of people answering when you say lowest versus competitive. I don't know if you get the best people responding.
I
That's just
don't think
this
in
is a
these
job.
circumstances that you're going to be able to tell what the price of any of those 5 vendors are, because there's so many variables that could happen over a space of a year.
All right,
The fact they were all in the same ballpark is what
Okay.
made me comfortable.
stop. It's my 3 minutes. Licensing or whatever, licensing fee. So it's like $48,000 plus 30-some thousand dollars. So this could be over 100,000. Am I
Well, this is just for his.
just his
labor,
time? It's
Whatever.
nothing. Okay.
Whatever we need to do on top of that.
All right.
You have 55,000 in the
In the budget.
which is for capital.
Right.
Obviously, that's not going to be used for his unless we make a budget amendment to take it from capital into general fund, if you like.
2 more things, then I'll sit down. Is it smart to be his first MSP client? Do we want it to be us? I'm just asking the question. I don't get a chance to vote, so. And there's been so much discussion. My last comment is, should we table this for more discussion to the next meeting? Thank you.
One thing, I'm
Go on.
sorry,
No, you-
is if we would table it, we could hear from some of the other people.
Yeah. Chief, did you interview anybody else? Any of the other 5 proposers?
Only the ones that requested on-site review of our system. The other ones, no.
And how many of them did request that?
2.
And who were they?
It was the one that was from Windermere, the one that has Windermere's contract. Avenger, and I believe it was iVenture and yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
I believe it was James Moore. So the other 2 that are in state,
What's that?
the other 2 that are in state.
Right, okay.
Yes, the two
Yeah,
in state.
makes sense. Yeah, it does.
Well, here's where I come down on this. I had all the reservations that you guys have already brought up, particularly with regards to him being a one-man band and getting run over by a red fire engine. So, but having said all that, we don't know how good the other people are going to be, but we do know how good this guy is.
Correct.
both from his references and also from the chief himself, because he has been working here for several months, I assume, Chief.
Correct, since February.
So he's been working here for a couple of months. The other thing is that, we're not married to him. We can change the situation any time, but I think at this moment in time, because he has already been working on this, he knows everything that we have got to go on with. And so it seems logical. We can always look at the money and say maybe it could be a bit cheaper, but sometimes the cheapest doesn't always work out that way. And I think that to give the guy the opportunity to continue to do his 180-day program to get us where we need to go. And I think that if we do that, and the chief can always come back, maybe in 6 months' time, maybe when it gets to budget time or whatever, and we will know more about how he's performed. And then if we're happy, we continue, and if we're unhappy, then obviously, like I said,
this
we're
will
not
carry us through October 1. Obviously, this will be discussed during budget talks.
right.
And remember, our previous volunteer, we were his only client. He started under
I know, I understand.
Curtis.
That's my biggest reservation. I know he doesn't have all the credentials and qualifications, but my son doesn't have those, and yet he works in a very high position inside of Samsung. So it's a lot more to do with what you can, not what your paper says that you should be able to. So that's where I'm at. I would welcome a motion to approve him, or and let's just see if we can move this forward, because we've still got work to do. The guy's midway through it.
I make a motion that we approve Legacy, let him complete his 180 days.
Second.
We would need a roll call vote, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Everly?
I'm gonna say yes, but I'm gonna say I'm disappointed in that we didn't have some of the other people here to talk with them. I don't think that it was a head-to-head kind of thing where we couldn't ask them any questions.
Councilor Arnold?
Yes. And I
Councilor-
want to add, we're supporting a veteran-owned small business.
Councilor Lanneman?
Yes.
Councilor Miles?
No.
Mayor Wells?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And the reason I said no is I think he's a fine gentleman. The fact that he's a one-man show, I just can't get over that.
Well, that's
Okay, he's Army.
Well, he's a Marine, that's another problem, but.
Well, guys can't get along.
well. We do share. I share your concern, and I think that ultimately we'll see how that pans out. Well, he's got 180 days to complete the task in hand, and then we'll see how it goes.
I was going to say, just as a follow-up before we move on to the next topic. So the funding source for this is very clear. This is from the capital outlay budget in the police fund. But there will be a budget transfer document following this to formalize the moving of the money from the capital outlay to the other lines as discussed.
But it will be a budget amendment, because it's moving capital to the other word that began the operational. So
Could
can we
still be a budget
No,
transfer.
we'll just have a budget amendment, please.
Councilor Miles wants to.
It's a budget amendment, yes. You're moving from the capital category into a operational services type of line.
Yeah. I think they should all be budget amendments. Anyway, is that it?
That was it.
Moving on. Thank you for that.
Welcome.
Number five.
Moving on
Thank you,
to
Chief.
item number 6, consideration and approval of rescheduling the 2nd May council meeting.
So yes, looking at the calendar, the second May council meeting, the fourth Monday, this year is May 25th, which coincides with the observation of Memorial Day, which is a recognized town holiday. So usually when this does happen, which is I think 3 out of 7 years, it falls this way. But we typically, at least for the May meeting, we typically move the meeting to another acceptable day. Sometimes we move it a week if we have a 3-week gap one way or the other. In this case, we do not have a 3-week gap. So unless we want back-to-back meetings, 1 week followed by another week, one proposal would be to meet simply the next day on Tuesday, May 26th, following observed Memorial Day.
Are we required to meet?
It is up to council if council chooses to cancel a meeting. We have done that in the past, especially with second December meeting historically, not this past year, but that's a council decision.
I don't think we should be talking about canceling at this juncture because we really don't know what's going to be coming up. The 28th, presumably, because if we, the 27th, which is a Wednesday, is not Renee's favorite day. The 28th presumably will be a planning and zoning meeting, so they will be using this. So the 26th, which is the day after on the Tuesday, I can do that.
I'm okay with the 26th too.
Town attorney?
Works for me.
Okay.
Tim, 26th of May, the Tuesday after the 25th, to move the council
Sounds
meeting.
good to me.
Okay. So you're outvoted, John, sorry.
Hey, I love it.
Did we actually need a formal vote on that, or are you just happy with a straw poll?
Happy to be here.
All right. That concludes our main business. Department reports. Town manager, have you anything to?
Yes, so a public works director asked me to share that the sidewalks are closed for repairs on East Central and North Lakeshore Boulevard. Reminder, we do have the FDOT meeting tomorrow, Tuesday, March 24th, regarding the Central and 19 or Palm intersection. That's 4 p.m. being held by FDOT. The town has the Easter Egg Dash Saturday, April 4th, the day before Easter, from 10 to 12 in Central Park. And another reminder of the April 10th Heartland League of Cities meeting will be at the Mission Resort here in Howey-in-the-Hills. Thank you very much.
What time is the dash?
Dash starts at 10 o'clock. It's 10 to noon.
I seem to recall that was a lot of fun last year.
Did you get a lot of candy last year?
I don't eat candy, so it doesn't bother me.
How many eggs did you get?
No. Councillor Everline, sorry, Mayor Pro Tem Everline.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on the MPO meeting. Did you guys get the handouts? I gave those
We
to
did
you.
not get those in the packet. I
Okay, well, you guys, they were passed in for you guys to get, so you will get
We'll
them.
send those out.
Just a couple things about the meeting. One was there were some people there from FDOT that are doing a survey of Route 19 from Route 50 to Route 455. And their intent is to 4-lane that. So you will have 4 lanes coming into that intersection, and then it'll drop down to 2 lanes.
Sorry, just tell me where that was again, Tim.
From Route 50.
Which
in
is in
Groveland.
Groveland.
In Groveland to 455 by the
Dollar General.
Dollar General.
They're gonna 4-lane that?
They're gonna 4-lane, I believe all of it, but certainly down here in our area.
They're gonna 4-lane it, they're gonna replace bridges instead.
They're gonna have paths.
Did we ask them to extend that?
Well, yeah, but we don't have 10
And
million
they,
dollars. They
and
said
said
no.
no.
Yeah.
Now we asked to be part of a study, I believe, as a
Well, the
The
MPO was gonna do a study here in town for 250,000. But they couldn't acquire the funds.
So what are they gonna do when they get to the Dollar General? You, 4 lanes suddenly goes into
It'll go in 2 lanes, which concerns me greatly, because if you ever go on a 95 and you pass Savannah and you get into South Carolina, it's always backed up there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because you go from 4 lanes to 2 lanes.
Well, you saw that on the turnpike when they were doing the
Yeah.
construction on that.
Yeah.
That was horrific.
So,
They opened it up as quick. They're just
Yeah.
about ready to open the northbound lanes.
Right.
So the other thing that they talked about is, on the list of priority projects, which are the next 5 years, and then on the list of the long-range transportation plan, other than the repaving of Palm, there's absolutely nothing for Howie at all. And they're requesting that every town send in a need analysis. So Sean, I don't know if that would be our engineer or you or Morgan, but we should send something in or we won't be considered at all.
Yeah, and that'll be between the public works director and the town engineer, and Morgan's nodding his head.
Yeah, I see them putting us in a squeeze plate. In other words, they want a 4 lane, down 19 through the
No,
town.
they don't. No, they don't. Absolutely not. No, they don't.
In the long run, they want to 4 lane it. And what will happen is we'll be begging them to do it, they think.
They don't want a 4 lane. They don't even want a 3 lane. We don't know beyond 4 laning 19 all the way up to 455 what their plans are. I mean, they could even be thinking we will widen 455 down to the first roundabout, and then we'll expand the highways that go through as to Tula maybe.
There's no money.
Instead of trying to go through Howard.
No
But
money.
right now, there's no money. It's not even an idea in their head. They just don't even want to talk about it.
And why are they doing it from 455 to Groveland?
Because Groveland put in $10 million.
Yeah,
So if you have 10 million, yeah, they would take a look at it properly.
yeah. Now, if we want to fund it,
Yeah.
Groveland is funding this study?
No, they're funding part of the study.
They're funding.
This anymore, David,
Right.
is a municipality. If you want to get anything done,
You gotta
you
stump
have to put up money.
Yep.
That's what's going on.
That's exactly what they told us at that meeting was, whatever you want, better come with your checkbook.
All right.
And by
Anything
the
else,
way,
Dave?
that doesn't guarantee they'll even do the work for you, but they'll gladly take your money.
Councillor Arnold, you're up.
No more further questions or comments.
Councillor Miles.
No further comments.
Councillor Lanneman.
Yes, I have 5 things.
6.
I don't have anything.
It's your birthday tomorrow.
What?
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
There you go. Happy birthday.
I just have 2 things. One is I did speak to Amanda, who's representative of Yokoski, his lady who keeps him on track, to see whether there was anything coming forward on the appropriations request that we had put in. She has said not at this moment in time. There was a $1.6 billion difference between what the House wanted to do and what the Senate wanted to do. And it was likely that they were going to get them to go back up to Tallahassee for another 3 weeks to try and figure it out. So she doesn't know whether there's anything in or whether there's anything out at this moment in time. But if they're struggling with 1.6 billion, I wouldn't hold your breath. The other thing is, we have our Founders Day coming up in May. I'm assuming we're going to do Founders Day. And being as this is the US's 250th birthday stroke anniversary. Huh?
Microphone.
I am.
You need to get closer.
I'm having trouble hearing you and.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, that's good. That's because you're deaf, David.
I know I'm deaf, but I'm having trouble hearing you.
That may be somewhere in the planning, because I'm assuming we're going to get going on the planning for that pretty swiftly, because we need to raise money for more sponsorships and all the rest of it, that might be an ideal way of incorporating the 250th celebration into that Founders Day. Any I mean, don't all get too excited at once, but I think you got to bear in mind I'm a Brit and I'm proposing this.
I was gonna say, we're gonna have you dress up as King George III, or what are we?
Even England's best king.
Okay.
Without him, there'd be no United States.
That's true.
Well, is it something you believe that we should endeavor to do?
Why not? What are you thinking about, Doug?
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm just putting it
Put it
out.
out there and see who's got ideas.
Well, we started off last year because we were the 100th year for Howie. And I think in all honesty, we raised a lot of money in sponsorships. We had a lot of booths. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of people, particularly a lot of people. And I think that if you, when you're looking to go and ask people for sponsorships, right, you got to really have something that you want to use as a tag. And I think that these kind of things would be hugely beneficial. And plus, I think it would make it more of an event rather than just now we're into 101 years or whatever else it is.
So this is like a red, white, and blue Founders Day is kind of.
I don't know. I mean, it's open. I mean, I was heavily involved in the Founders Day last year, and I'm happy to be as equally involved in this one if I can be of. What are you looking like that for?
Oh, you didn't want to?
That was then. Now is now. I didn't want to do Christmas. So anyway, okay, well, that's like a lead balloon. So moving on, a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned.
Aye.
19.
George III dunk tank.
Nope.
They have a great day tomorrow.
And without Neil, England would not have ensured its future survival. That's true. Twice.
What did he say?
We saved your ass twice.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, but in fairness, you waited right until you got invaded at Pearl Harbor before you actually did anything.